Hello, hello, everyone. Yet another live for the week. Super excited. These have been the highlight of 2021 for me, I promise. Hope you guys are doing great. Hello, hello. Super excited about this live. I'm honestly meeting so many amazing people through Clubhouse, so I'm just super excited because these are people that I haven't followed for months or years. These are people that I'm just meeting on Clubhouse. So I'm super excited about that. You guys are enjoying all the people I'm bringing into your lives as well. Let's see if we can get this started. I've got perfect service. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
good you.
Doing great.
That's my
Love,
icebreaker, man.
love the hair.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just feeling girly today.
Perfect.
Uh,
Love it. Love
yeah.
it. How are
So
you doing
yeah,
today?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Awesome. Did you have to work today?
Yes, but
Me
I'm
too.
working from home. It's not too crazy. Uh, no, it was good. Yeah, had a good day.
Perfect.
Yes.
So
You
I
seem like
usually
you're
let
in office.
Yes, this is normally like someone else's office, but since like the pandemic and my internet sucks at home, so they gave me like this temporary office, and for a while like I had a picture of like someone else's family here. So thankfully that was all taken down, so now it's my space.
Nice. So it's
But
in your
I'll go
house.
ahead. Huh?
So are you in your house? Sorry.
No, this is
Oh,
like
okay.
remote office space.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Yeah,
I'll
so
take this off.
I usually
It's actually really warm.
I can imagine. I will let you introduce yourself so people know who you are, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah. All right. So my name's Derek. I'm a Canadian, French Canadian, if you don't hear it in my accent. And I don't know. I guess I am a newbie to the LGBTQ community in the sense that I earlier in 2020, I came out as being pansexual and being transgender. So I was born female and transitioning to be male, but always was a male, really. But anyways, didn't look like it for a while. And yeah, new to Instagram also in the sense that I'm more active and trying to be up once in this community and met a lot of wonderful people on Instagram and also in Clubhouse, which is awesome. So yeah, that's my little story. But yeah, I can say more later. But yeah.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
where are
Yeah.
you from? Adrian? Is that your first name? I feel like
So Drummond's my middle name,
Drum.
but it is what I go by. So my
Okay,
first name is Ben, but yeah, I go by
okay,
Drummond.
okay, sweet. Okay,
But
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, because I wondered where Drummond culture, if it was your name or perfect. So
yeah. So
that's
culture actually rhymes with my last name, which is Fulcher. So I did a play on words
okay.
there. And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we go to like huge YouTube events and stuff, they talk about creating a community around your platforms. So I thought culture like was a
Yeah.
community word. So I felt like that was like perfect for a platform.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I looked at your YouTube and you have a lot of really great content. I'm going to say, I'm surprised you don't have, I mean, you have a good following, but for the amount of content you have, you should have more. You have really good
Yeah.
content.
It's crazy
So
because it's
continue.
all the algorithm. And then, of course, LGBT content for a while. YouTube did that whole ban when it came to anything that had the word gay, LGBT, sex, anything like that was kind of like shadow
Really?
market for a while. So my content took a dive for a while and then plateaued and then
Uh,
started growing again. So it my first
yeah.
channel was large, and I'm slowly growing now and just finding ways to, I mean, I've always believed in sharing vulnerabilities and stories to help people feel less alone in the world. So for me,
Yeah.
it's never been about a large following. For me, it would be nice to know that as my followers grow, that means I'm reaching more people and hopefully helping more people. but I'm definitely not chasing
Yeah.
numbers in the sense of I feel more important if
Yeah.
my numbers
No,
are bigger.
no, absolutely. And I totally agree with you on that. I'm the same way. I'm starting on Instagram. And of course, having a larger influence means you can have a bigger impact in a way, if you're using your influence properly. But at the same time, there's always little things that we can, like, to me, when I post a video where I'm not sure about, like, is this too vulnerable, is this too personal, I'm putting this out in the world, like, why am I doing this? And then I always think, you know what, if there's one person out there that sees that and it changes their view and they feel better, that's worth it. It
Yep.
doesn't need to be 1,000 people that you touch. One person is enough. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely right. It's not the
That's
numbers
actually
really.
That's actually funny because I was just talking to someone, and this is what I say to everyone because there's a lot of people that reach out to larger influencers and want us to pull them up to our platform so they can start from where we're currently at. And I was like, the thing is, like, I've been doing this LGBT stuff, wanting to help our community since I had 0 followers. And I grew and educated myself along that journey to be where I am today. So I
Yes.
personally wouldn't want to be at my level without the education that I gained from the journey. Because, I mean,
Yes.
on Clubhouse, I'm still learning all the different ways people like to identify and how it's politically correct to use certain language. And I don't think that people understand that it's important to build a foundation and grow and learn all those
Yeah.
lessons when you've got smaller followings so that when you do
Yeah.
get up here that you've got the knowledge base to support yourself up there instead of like being on the stilt, you're actually on a very well formed foundation. I think that's important.
Absolutely. And you're bang on. That's so exact. I was thinking the exact same thing earlier when I was thinking about what I was gonna talk to you about, and that's so true because I came out, and obviously to me it was so exciting, right? The changes and coming into finding who I am and all, and just through this enthusiasm, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna, be such an ambassador for the LGBTQ. It's like I put this cap on, like this superhero cap, like look at me, but I don't know exactly how to better the community, and that's the knowledge I need to, like. It's all nice to be like, oh, you're gay, I accept you. You be my friend. That's but what needs to actually be done, like actual things, like in the school system, in the what I mean, like political things. Those are the things that really matter at the end of the day. It's not just saying, oh, we all love each other and let's hold hands. You know what I mean? It's more
Yeah.
than that.
I think
So
sometimes too
yeah,
people think that they're experts in their field just because they are something. So someone thinks, oh,
yes,
I'm a gay male, therefore I'm an expert in what it's to be gay in the world. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
you're an expert at your own experience. I think as I've grown
yeah,
and broadened my views and collected more friends that have really helped educate me, uh, I think that I've gained an experience to where I can go on a platform and say I speak for the LGBTQIA plus community. Of course, I'm going to have a little bit more reference points when it comes to being a gay male, but I
yeah,
do have enough conversations and education that I've gained through literature and podcasts and Clubhouse and just
yep,
meeting people of different walks of life. But there are some people who speak so loudly as if their walk is the walk everyone's on and as if they have the right to speak for our entire community. And I think that's really dangerous.
yes, yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, you could almost have, yeah, you could have a PhD, in LGBTQ, about how it is in every country in the world. Like that's a big thing. It's not the same everywhere. It's not the same even within the neighborhood. It can be different. Through the ages, it's different. I'm hopeful that we're going on a path that it's getting better and better. But yeah, there's so much to learn about it, and so yeah, I'm with you on that. That I yeah, I agree. You have to learn about it before you can speak and have. So yeah, it's good that you're at that level and you have that knowledge.
Yeah. And I mean, constantly learning. I mean, listening to what's happening in the UK right now with the like their ability to have the freedom to protest. Like they're not allowed to protest right now. That right was taken, and then hearing about what was going on in Ghana and people in
Yes, yeah,
Turkey
that
and
was.
Russia and people in the Middle East, like you learn so much. And the nice thing about a growing platform like mine is it's gone international, and I hear
Yeah,
so many different stories from all these different people about what's going on, and you just learn so much, and I think that that's important. But like one thing that I think is amazing about our community is we exist in every single space that exists in this world. Like gender, we capture it all. When it comes to ethnicity, we've got it all. Religions, everything. Careers, everything.
yep,
So I feel like
yep,
when it comes to the LGBT community, like if we are able to come together and accept each other's walks instead of trying to deny someone's experience, we could really do a lot of really good positive change because we exist everywhere. Like I think the
yeah,
struggle with a lot of like minority groups, like if you take like the Black community, the problem is you can see them, you can see that they're Black, so therefore people don't tell, like they don't tell their truth, so people keep their racist opinions to themselves. Whereas gay people and people in the LGBT community, a lot of us grow up in those households hearing people's opinions. We go to our workplaces, people don't recognize that we're part of that community, their opinions
yeah,
are out there, so therefore, we can hear what the problem is, so we know how to solve, or we know where to start solving the problem. Whereas a lot of other minority groups, they're not in those spaces because a lot of doors are closed to them. Whereas the LGBT, we kind of sneak in through doors that people are letting us in, not knowing, and therefore it gives us the privilege to be able to solve problems that a lot of people can't see in other minority groups.
that's absolutely true. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, we're like undercover sometimes. I think. Yeah, definitely. And like me personally, I heard they were like being a trans man was a thing like before I actively started searching online because I was, something was just telling me that I wasn't living my best life. I just, and yeah, I was just so surprised. But that's just one of the things, and then it kind of opened from there on other part of that community that like non-binary. I didn't know, you know, what what it was, what it meant, and then of course, now being part of that community, I'm definitely more aware, and which is great. But yeah, there's a lot of people that. Do you think these start educating kids now? Because I don't have kids myself. Are there's probably topics. Those are probably topics they will start or they've started educating kids about in school. Hopefully.
I
Um,
feel like it's probably going to be a lot of pushback because, I mean, even when it comes to like sex education, like there's still parents that disagree with that being taught. They think that that should be the parents'
right.
space. And I think
Yeah.
because the LGBT community, a lot of the reasons why we are labeled part of the LGBT deals with our sexual preference and sexual identities. And I think that there will be probably a lot of pushback, especially here in the United States. I know that there's a little bit more lenience there in Canada when it comes to LGBT than we see here. Hopefully, with the new administration, we can start
Yeah.
adding that. But I do think, I
Yeah.
mean, you were just saying it. Like you didn't really have the language or the knowledge to
Yeah.
understand why you just didn't feel like the life you were living was the one that you should be living. And I
Yeah.
think that that comes from the lack of education that our youth is getting about
Yeah.
those things. Because I mean, I am seeing it a lot more in youth around here where like you do hear parents talking about, well, my child is trans and my child is
Yeah.
gay, and you didn't hear that when I was younger. I mean, there was lots of gay people in my school, but none of us said anything about it until we
Right.
left.
Yeah. 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 Um. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like, and that's just my personal opinion on or perception that it's like trans people now are being perceived like gay people were perceived like 20 years ago, in a sense that, like, but maybe I'm wrong, but there's still a little bit more stigma around being trans now, right now, today, than being gay. But it's good because one is, is being more accepted, and I think it's just, there's just a lot of, I think people just, when they don't understand, right, it's just, for them it's just pure biology. I don't understand, so I don't like it because I don't understand it. So, but I think, you know, we're gonna get over that as a society eventually. But
And the interesting thing is, like, right from the beginning, when it's come to like fighting for equality for our community, the trans people have always been there. And that's the sad part. Whereas it's not like the trans community is new and now has to fight for their rights. They've fought with us the entire
right,
way, and their
yeah,
rights at some point fell off of that bandwagon and got left behind, which I don't think is fair. And I think that
yeah,
that's one of the things, as LGBTQIA plus members, like, we have to realize that there are still within our community privileges, just like everything else. Like, of course, in the
yeah,
world, heterosexual is a privilege, but also being a gay white male in the LGBT community is still at the top of the privilege chain. And it's important to realize that. And
yeah,
it's that, like you were saying, when you don't
yeah,
understand something,
yeah,
sometimes you have a hard time accepting. But the
yeah,
problem is, like, as a gay male, you know what it's like to have someone tell you, well, they don't understand how you can be gay, so therefore they hate you. So I don't understand how anyone in the gay community could look at someone in the trans community and be like, I don't understand you, so I'm not going to
yeah,
fight for you. Like, you would think. And then, of course, we go into like race, and then we go into like, when it comes
yeah,
to religion, and then it's sad that that exists within our community. But I mean, I think that that's something we really have
yeah.
to
Within the
tackle.
community, yeah. Like one thing that personally triggers me a lot too is when I hear somebody say, oh, about, say, a very feminine boy who's born a boy and is very, very feminine, and he wants to become a girl, and they say, just leave him. He's probably just gay. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just gay. Like, it's way better that he's gay than being trans. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not the same thing. And first of all, like me, uh, like I I think it's evolving a little bit, like my sexuality. I think I identify as pansexual as of right now. But when I first came out, I only dated men. I've been married to a man. So it's like, that has nothing to do with it because, like, I'm trans and I'm gay. Like, because I identify as a male, So, but, but it's like everything. It's always evolving, and then, you know, but education helps, definitely. If everyone educated themselves more and they were forced to be educated, on the topic, others than, because obviously people that are in the community educate themselves more. But yeah, I think, and also maybe there's a lot of people like that think it's a double sword, because if you educate young kids on, and like, what is it to be gay, what is it to be pan, and when you're a kid, you want to be a little different sometimes, right? You want to belong to a group, and so there might be some kids who will be like, oh, maybe I am that, because and in some cases maybe they won't be transfer actually, but um, if they have other issue underlying that makes them feel that way, that they have to pretend to be something that they're not really, then
Yeah,
that's another issue that they need to be dealt with, like, their parents should be aware, okay, this kid needs, more attention on a whole other level if he thinks he's trans, and he's, you know what I mean.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it starts with the school system and things like that. Definitely. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it definitely requires a lot of attention. And like, I do, like, when it comes to how young a child is, when it comes to identifying as trans, that is something that I have thought of, just
Yeah.
because there there are people who, I mean, you listen to people talk and they played with like dolls when they were little and they're like, oh, I must be gay because I like girl toys. And
Yeah.
that's not a defining thing. And I think it's the social structure of like the definition of is this without realizing that there is no exact definition. You can be gay and play sports. You can be gay and be in
Yeah.
fashion. I think that I don't think that the child themselves would be confused by like what they're feeling inside. I think that they would be confused by what society is telling them what they should be
Yeah.
based upon what they feel, which will it's hard to ask a kid that question because it's almost like an adult conversation, but I do understand when it comes to like the earlier on it can be like helped and worked on, that's something that it will make that transition so much smoother for that person because when you start to your hormones start coming in, like you do start to go one
Yeah.
way or the other, and if you can catch it beforehand, I think that that would help people transition in a safer space. But it's definitely, I think it requires a lot more attention, a lot more research, and a lot more education.
Yeah.
And
Like I'm on the opinion that not to start kids too early on hormones myself, but that's just me. And sometimes, like other trans that have that opinion, like I know Buck Angel is someone I talk to sometimes. Like we have chats here and there, and he's one of those that will be of the opinion like don't give kids hormones too early, and I kind of agree with him, man. But and sometimes uh, other trans within the community will say he's almost like transphobic as a trans man because he thinks that. And me, I'm on the side of saying, yeah, you can be trans and have opinion that are just objective on the topic. And because like science, again, like you said, I don't know, like we need to do more studies on that, on like, starting kids on hormones. But that being said, talking about people being trans early on though, I think helps, because then if they grow up already knowing that term, when they come across a trans person like 20 years later, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember they told us that in school. Oh, okay, that's what it is, a trans. Or they won't see it, right? Because we're not all visibly trans. Like,
yeah,
but
I think just normalizing all of it, just I think that so much of the LGBT is considered the other or different and not the normal. So therefore,
yeah,
the stigma around all of it is so negative. Whereas if we were able to educate and normalize all of it so that it wasn't like, oh, well, parents are daddy and mommy. Like, parents can
that's
be
right.
fun. If we could erase the heteronormative culture that has like confused so many people or shamed so many people, I think that that would really lift up a lot of pressure off of the community. I
Yeah,
think that there's a lot of things that are showing that we are moving in that direction, but I also feel like there's a lot of pushback from a lot of governments and social groups that aren't part of our community. And like you said, it's different. It's not their experience, so therefore they don't understand it. So they either fear it or hate it, which is sad that that's how it
yeah,
works. But
yeah,
I think that just educating, and the sad thing is like you see it even within the gay community. Like the LGBT community still has all those prejudices that the rest of the world has, and
right.
it's kind of sad to see that. And that's where I realized that I have to take a stand within the community I have influence over.
Yeah,
And so, like, I can't influence a bunch of heterosexual men that just look at me as some gay guy screaming at them. But I do have the
yeah,
influence to talk to people in my community and be like, hey, let's not be racist. Let's not be sexist. Let's not be transphobic. And in that
yeah.
sense,
That's
I do
awesome.
have power.
Yes, that's a very good point. Because like yeah, like within your, like you said, your circle of influence to your targeting other like discrimination, like ways people discriminate others, and that's really good. Yeah, because like when we are in a minority group, we should definitely understand, or at least be able to kind of understand how it feels to just be look at someone, no matter what that is, just be different, in general, whether you're trans or yeah, it's very similar sometimes. We think it's all different, but at the end of the day, it's just a matter of someone looking at you like you don't belong there, and that's all the same across the board, right? So yeah, it's yeah, but you're right. I do feel like my sometimes my perception of uh, like the level of discrimination I'm getting, let's just say, since I came out, uh, like I don't feel that much negative feeling towards me, but it is true that like if I think about it, like people that will be attracted to my Instagram page, they're all from the community, right? So it's obviously it's kind of skewed in the sense that like obviously if I went on a stage with like 10,000 people, like a lot of straight males and not trans, and just say, hey, I'm Derek, I'm trans, it would be like a different reaction that just me posting on my Instagram and like hashtag LGBTQ, you know what I mean, and getting all these people. So, but sorry, I don't know where I was getting, but
I mean, I feel like it's a cool thing to think about instead of trying to go out and defend yourself against the world, just continuing to grow your community that loves and accepts you until it just overlaps and pushes the hate out. Because I feel like a lot of people go out into the world and try to defend their identities to the world, and they get a lot of hate. But also,
yeah,
like with your social media platforms, those are people that love you. They follow you because they appreciate you for whatever reasons they appreciate and follow you. And just continue to grow that, and just know that you are slowly growing your community in a good
yeah,
way. And I'm one of those people that I don't believe in being hateful across platforms. So I'm not going to
right,
post about people I hate on my platform. I'm going
yeah,
to
yeah,
talk to the
yeah,
people that love me and I love them.
yeah,
And I'm going to enjoy that space and
yeah,
just keep growing in that
yeah,
sense. But an interesting thing that I've really kind of started to put some focus on is when it comes to the trans experience, when it goes from female to male versus male to female, because we do live in a world where men hold power over women. So it's
yeah,
different for people who are going the opposite direction. And I've never really spoken to people about that. My friend Ezra and I did a video about his experience, and he was kind of talking about how he experienced like how men treated him now that he looks just like them versus when he didn't look like them. And
yeah,
it's a completely different experience where people going the opposite way knew what it was
yes,
like to be presentable as a man and going into the world where now they've lost privileges. And it's very
yeah,
interesting to kind of hear that
yeah,
concept.
yes, yeah, absolutely. You just remind me. I watch. I don't know if you know Roundtable.
I've heard of it.
It's a yeah, Roundtable of actors. There are actors from Hollywood, and there was this Roundtable edition with all trans actor. And so it's not me saying it, but there was this trans actor, and I forget her name. I Too bad, but she was saying exactly what you said, and she said, I feel like she's a trans woman, and she said it's like in the hierarchy of man, like cis men are on top, and then you seem to have like trans men, and then cis women, and then trans women, like and that's awful, that it's that way, because it's like for a woman to be like, yeah, I want those privileges, it's kind of look at, oh yeah, come and be with us, yeah, we're men. And then when a men seem to be giving away those privileges, it's like, what are you doing? we're loose, so, but yeah, so as a trans male, I do notice that also the way I appear, um, I'm blessed and I don't take that for granted at all. I'm very humble. Every time someone says, "Oh my God, you're so handsome," like it would be so easy to like, "Oh my God," and I know people are being nice too because I'm trans, like there's all that, whatever. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, so you accept me as a trans because I look male. I look acceptable, right? I fit in that box of what a male is, so that's okay for you. But on the other hand, when a trans woman uh, still appears very masculine because, testosterone is a powerful hormone. So if you transition at 20 years old and you were a male for 20 years, uh, yeah, you're still gonna have a pretty, big jawline. And so even if you're the most feminine person in the world, you're not gonna pass as well, for a woman as like I would, after being on testosterone. So me, my role, I want to take later on, like when I do have more, more, yeah, knowledge to back up, and just influence. One of my thing I want to be able to do is be that voice, to say, okay, so you believe me when I say I'm a man because I look the part. Well, it's only fair that you believe her too when she says she's a woman,
Yeah.
because appearance is just, it's just illusion. You know what I mean? We're not our body, we're a soul, so it's just, anyways. But so I liked you were wearing that shirt, black trans women are sacred.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I
I was
like
gonna
this one
say I've
too.
got this one too.
But yeah, what is it? I read the post quickly. Is it like, a brand that you're promoting or
Yeah.
others?
So, have you been in any of Cyrus's rooms in Clubhouse?
No.
So I met him through Clubhouse as well, and he's got his own brand. And he
Ah,
also
okay.
is of the trans experience as well.
Yeah.
And so definitely follow him. I love going into rooms with Cyrus because wealth of information, and I really
Yeah.
enjoy just kind of hearing the experiences uh, through the stories that they tell. But when it comes to like all the different people that I've met, I think that when it comes to anyone that holds privilege, um, I think that it is our job, even behind closed doors, when necessarily we could let people get away with saying things poorly against other people that we're not really a part of. I think that it is our job because I would say that you could probably walk into a group of people and no one would assume that you live the trans experience, which I think that that's a privilege and a power that you can
Yeah.
use to help the entire community. Also, I think that when it comes to like the privilege of being like white skinned, I think that that gives
Yeah.
us the ability to kind of speak to people. It's kind of sad because when I post stuff on social media, if it's me and a white friend in the picture, it's like 3,000 likes. And then you can start taking pictures with other people and you see the likes decline. When I started posting about Black Lives
Really?
Matter, when I started doing lives with people and actually talking about those types of topics, I saw like the followers just disappearing. And honestly, I don't want a community of people that are that negative and think that way. But I'd
Yeah.
also like those people to stick around and maybe have their minds opened a little bit by the conversations I'm having. Because I think that I try to add value in that sense. I try to create spaces where we can open some people's minds. So it saddens me a little bit to see people leave, but also I don't want those people causing problems on my platform. Like I monitor my posts getting harder now that it's growing, but I try to remove all hate, and I make sure that that type of stuff doesn't exist on my platform. And when I did post that shirt that you were talking about Black trans women being sacred, there was a lot of hate
Yeah.
comments that were popping up under that one, and I was quickly
Really.
deleting them, and trying to send messages to those people, trying to educate. Most of the time, I got very ignorant responses back. Uh, so I try. If I can't fix it, then I'm just like, you know what? I don't want them here. I purposely try to create safe spaces on my platform. So when someone does
Yeah.
comment, like, I think I'm trans, like, I don't want someone on there to comment on their comment something hateful. So I try
Yeah.
to remove as much of that as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your space. That's the beauty of Instagram. It's like having our own little, you know, well, just like a channel. I was gonna say like a TV channel is just like YouTube. They call it a YouTube channel because it's your own. It's your own freaking. It's your show. It's you. So yeah, you're allowed to do that. And yeah, unfortunately, we have to be on the lookout for those things. Yeah, and keep it very positive, because it's so easy, you know, and it's called positive talk, you know, your thing. But you see how sometimes, like, I find this topic, because there's so much hate, right? We feel it, we just talk about it, and it's hard to keep it super high vibe all the time, because there's a lot of unfortunately hate. But within our group, and I did a little post one time. It was just like a thought of the day kind of, and I said, you know, uh, if you think God hates people from the LGBTQ community, I think he'd stop creating so many of us motherfuckers. You know?
Yeah,
And because, to be honest, we're growing a nice, big, large community. Um, and I think a lot more people are going to keep, you know, coming out as, and that's why we need to be loud in a sense. And it's not to annoy straight and cis people. It's not to be like, look at me, I'm trans, that's all I am. I'm nothing else but my freaking flag. No, it's
yeah,
not about that. It's about saying, hey, that's what I am, and I'm proud. I have nothing to be ashamed of. This is who I am. And because someone comes across that, that's kind of shaky about coming out, like, oh, he, I
exactly.
can do it. Look at that person. So I think, like, without being super annoying and going in the street with, you know, rainbow lights, we do. No, it's true. We need to keep talking about it and talking about, because it opens the door for more people. And it's not like we're recruiting. It's just that there's a lot of people still that are hiding.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
because,
I think it's planting
you know,
seeds of safety. And I
yeah,
mean, thinking about when I was young, and I mean, I think I knew from a very early age, probably around the age of like 6. I probably would say that I knew that I liked guys and not girls. I didn't, it wasn't
yeah,
like a sexual liking, but I was like, guys are cute. I'm not really a fan of girls. Uh,
yeah,
and for that, like, I grew up most of my time hearing things that were
yeah,
negative. So when I tell people that I'm being loud, I'm not being loud to annoy the straight people. I'm being loud so that the kids that are struggling with that and thinking that they're not
yeah,
normal hear my voice over the people that are telling them
yeah,
that they're not normal. And if that means I have
yeah.
to annoy a couple straight people, to say it,
Do that.
I'm going to say it. And I mean, I think that
Yeah,
another thing that is very hard is the LGBT consists of a lot of people, and a lot of different. I mean, like I said at the beginning, we cover every single aspect of human life, and it's very hard to be like an ambassador or a promoter or educated on every single aspect uh, of every experience. So like for me personally, like, of course, we all have our own trauma that we're trying to heal. And we're always telling people, heal yourself first. Like, so, like, a lot of people will say, oh, these people are selfish. And I've been in a lot of rooms where there's been a lot of hate thrown towards people. And I'm just like, hey guys, remember that just because, yes, the white cis like male is still at the top of the totem pole when it comes to our community, like they still have to come out to their families that might not be accepting. They still have to
Yeah.
deal with the hate of people that don't like gay people. So
Yeah.
throwing hate shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Understanding, I
Yeah.
think, is necessary. Like, just because you
Yeah.
don't understand the experience of someone else in the community doesn't mean you should be throwing shade at them. That should be where the line is drawn. But
Yeah.
like, there's just so much trauma dumping everywhere I've been when it comes to talking about our whole community, to where it's almost like everyone is trying to over, like, say, well, mine's worse because of this, and this. And for me personally, I've tried to tell people, like, hate is hate. And if you were to put hate as like a physical weapon, like
Yeah.
stab someone in the heart with a knife, it doesn't hurt more if you're trans. It doesn't hurt more if you're black. It doesn't hurt more if you're white. It hurts the
That's right.
same because we're all human. And I think that's what
Yeah.
people are forgetting. When someone comes into a room and says, I'm hurt, and then you say, well, at least you're not this, and this, you would be dealing with so much worse. I'm like, this person
That's
literally
right.
just said
Yeah.
that they're hurt. Just like
Yeah.
say, I'm sorry that you're hurting. Um, Tell me you're hurt and
Yeah.
let's try to help you. Instead of trying to like deny that their pain is anywhere close to your pain. I think that
Yeah.
that's an issue that we are seeing a lot of in the community, because no one's going to want to help someone if that's the response they get when they're hurting. Like, and also
Yeah.
allies, just because they're not struggling being LGBTQIA plus people, they can still be dealing with other pain. So when they come to us and say, I'm hurting, don't go, well, at least you're not LGBT. Like, say, I'm sorry that you're
Right.
hurting. Let me
That's
help
right.
you, because you're maybe an imperfect
Absolutely.
ally because they don't
Yeah.
live in our shoes. But I
Yeah.
think it's important to just
Yeah.
realize that there's a lot of hate. And even if the hate comes from a place of trauma or pain, that hate still hurts someone else. And you have to be careful
Yeah.
with that.
Absolutely. You never know people's past also. You never know, you could meet like a white, middle-aged white woman who's straight and cis, and she's battling cancer. You know what I mean? And she has a trans son. Like, you never know. Like, people, we all have struggle. So I yeah, sometimes like I'm on the fence of like I want to make an emphasis. Obviously, like I'm part of the LGBTQ and that community. I can have an influence, but at the same time, I don't want my whole life to revolve around that person. Like, obviously, like you, that's just part of what you do. You want to have a positive influence. But like, for example, like I was on Clubhouse and there was a lot of rooms that were like queer, let's, uh, right? But because that's a major group, and then there's all these rooms, but there was all these random rooms, and there were a lot of these rooms that were kind of negative, actually, or not negative, but low vibe, like just people
Yeah.
talking shit about something, and I was like, okay, like they're part of the LGBTQ, but no, like I don't belong here, I'll go listen to them. So yeah, so it's about all coming all together as human beings. We should all strive to just drop the labels, at one point. And, I mean, the labels are important, but like, because it's new for me to say, hey, I'm a trans man. Like, I feel like at one point, I think in my life, I'm not going to want to bring that up so much above myself. I'm just going to be, that's my past. That's a part of me, but I'm a human being and I want to be the best kind of human being and just help other human beings, and that means every color, every religion, every sexual orientation, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I think we're definitely on the same page, on that.
Yeah.
You
I,
just
I think
be
that
inclusive and
there was one room that's like a trans safe space, and they were talking about how saying I'm a man of the trans experience. So saying you're a man because
Yeah.
they're saying they don't want the word trans put in front of everything. So I don't want to be called a trans actor. I don't want to be a trans this or this. I'm a person, whether I identify as man, female, non-binary. I'm a person
Yes.
and living of the trans experience because that is a part of my story. You can't
Yeah.
take it out. It is part of who you are. But like
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I
Yeah, you
hate
don't go
it.
say I'm gay. I'm gay.
I
Like, I'm a
hate it
gay
when my
man.
friends introduce me and they're like, "Hey, this is
He's
my
gay.
friend. He's gay." I'm like,
Oh my God.
I don't
That's
introduce
annoying.
be like, "Oh, this is my friend Jessica. She's a Christian." Like
Yeah.
we don't need to label people in that way. And I definitely agree. I think that when it comes to LGBT spaces, I think it's important to come together and then go out into the world. Whether it's like for me, YouTuber, there's tons of uh, YouTubers in the world of all backgrounds, and I can relate to them as a YouTuber. So I
Yeah.
go into YouTube spaces on Clubhouse that don't have tons of LGBT people. So in that space, I am representative of our community in a community that I also belong to as a YouTuber. And same as doctors, lawyers, any type of frontline workers that are working through the pandemic. There's so many ways that we can relate to other people. And if we seek out that, I think it's important to have a community that makes you feel safe and loved for everything that you are. But it's also
Yeah.
important to go out into the world and share yourself for all the other parts that you are as well. Because
Yeah.
if you sit too long in the echo chamber where everyone's screaming the same thing, like you are blinded and deaf to what's actually going on in the world. And I think it's really
Yeah.
important to put yourself, I mean, Clubhouse is beautiful and it's all about who you follow. So if you follow tons
Yeah.
of LGBT people, of course, all the rooms are going to be LGBT.
Yes. That's right.
But
Yeah.
I, right from the bat, like I looked for LGBT YouTube stuff, life coaching stuff. And so my rooms are very like
Positive.
complex. There's lots of different things. But yeah, there's a lot of spaces. I think you and I met in a creator room. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really LGBT. It was more focused towards creating
Yeah.
LGBT content on social
Yeah. That's right.
platforms. And I think
Yeah. Oh, I thought we met. I thought we met in a group where we're talking about our coming outs. But no, okay, that was
I
the
think
good one.
I think it was like that room that uh, the I can't even remember their names. They started a club for the YouTube content creator stuff, and I think that that's the first place that I saw you. We might have not connected in that room, but I saw you there.
Okay.
But I think it's important to lit because not everyone. So for me, I would consider myself an LGBT activist. So
Yeah.
I'm that's a focus of mine, and it works for me because it doesn't drain me too much. Whereas other people, maybe their passion is art, or maybe it's like cars, and maybe it's like nature, and it's perfectly okay to make that your core value, and then your LGBT status just be a part of that story.
Right. Yeah. Like me, I'm a project manager right now. Like I have a corporate, 9 to 5 job, which I like, Um, sometimes I love, but you know, but I'd say my real passion is to become an actor. So definitely, to me, like that, like you say, like being a part of the LGBTQ, but in another, you know, in a whole other discipline or area of my life, like I want to represent the LGBTQ, in the as an actor. I need to work on my accent. That's what my coach told me. That's gonna be my biggest hurdle, but I'm ready to do the work. And the beauty of, you can be actor at any age. I can start 20 years from now. It doesn't matter. I'll just play the old man, whatever.
So, like, what accent are you trying to uh,
To
accomplish? Like,
hide. Oh well, because I'm in Canada, and I met this woman from a casting agency. who's a wonderful coach from Smith Casting, and but she casts for a lot of American movies, and she said, "I'd have some role for you in in a little while. You just need to perfect your acting." And because I haven't taken acting lessons, like I loved acting when I was younger, but when I hit puberty, it kind of stopped for me. I couldn't act, I couldn't be extroverted, and now looking back on it, I know exactly why. Because when I reached puberty, that's when I had to kind of role play a woman, because that's what society was. So I was already in a character, so I
Yeah.
couldn't play characters in a character. Let's just put it that way. But now, going back to being more myself, now I can go back to playing, to go to acting and stuff like that. But long story short, yeah, so here they cast a lot of American movies. But to get the roles, you need to have an American accent, uh, which
I'm
I'm
always
French
so
Canadian, so.
by like Australian or UK like actors and actresses that like in the movies you they have that perfect accent, and then when they do interviews like their real
Yeah,
accent comes out and I'm like, whoa, wait, they
it's
they're
crazy.
good. Like I wish I could do an accent like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She told me a few example, of what it is, like the differences. But she referred me to the best, like coach, like accent coach or whatnot. So I'm gonna start that. But like for example, like in Canada, we say, "I'm sorry about that," But she said Americans they say more like, "I'm sorry about that." Like there's no about. It's about that. And it's like, I'm
Sorry. I'm
sorry.
sorry about
I'm
that.
sorry about that.
It's so funny because I used to date someone that was from Australia, and uh, my friends and I would like try to mimic an Australian accent, and then we're like, okay, now mimic an American accent. And he's like, I'm gonna go cut my grass. I'm like, wow, you made us sound really
Oh,
stupid.
yeah. But yeah, it's a wonderful world of acting. Yeah, that's definitely my goal. So I say I'm a project manager, actor in the making, but I'm just starting. And but definitely, it sounds weird because like I'm not all for them. I'm not a money person or a fame person. Like I couldn't care less. Like I know a lot of people do want those things, but to me, like I don't know, like I need to have a cause behind, to support. So since I came out, I'm really, it helps me to motivate me to feel like it's not just for me, like it's something I want to do, but I do want to be someone who's going to represent, the trans community, and just, again, open the door to other trans to know like that everything's possible as a trans person. Like the doors open, but you still need to work hard. Like I can just, there's a lot of competition. Like I said, I might just get a role like in 20 years, and like I don't know, man. But just one small role would be enough. I can just whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Hold a flag.
Clubhouse is beautiful because I mean, I was already friends with a couple casting directors. I actually brought some of them onto Clubhouse because I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for connecting.
Yeah,
They connected with me through my YouTube. And of course, now my Instagram is starting to pull in quite a few casting directors as well. So, like, there's
yeah.
actually rooms that casting directors are like opening that are amazing. And
I'm
it,
on it all the time.
yeah, so
All the
like
time.
it's so nice to kind of meet those
Yeah,
people and kind of hear their experiences. And I mean, now we live in a world where you can create videos at home, practice your acting, practicing like film. You can do that from your phone these days and then post it
yeah,
on TikTok or YouTube, and people will find you in that sense. It's all about understanding how to promote yourself on those platforms, and
yeah.
sometimes it all you could get 50 views, but if one of those 50 is a casting director looking for someone just like you can make it
Yeah.
big just from those 50 views. And I think
Yeah.
that that's the amazing thing about technology now.
Yeah, that group, that creator group, there was a casting director, actually a producer, director, and an actor who's, he's gay. And he saw my profile, saw my Instagram, and reached out to me and said, "Man, it's too bad you're not in Florida, because I would have got you on my show. Like, well, at least cast me, because you know." And I owned the gym. Like the premise was in the gym and all that, and I owned the gym for many years. So I would have. But again, I need to work more on my accent. But I was like, man, like that's so great that you can meet people like that, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
progress. Yeah,
I would
progress.
say one thing that when it comes to like acting and casting and stuff, be careful when it comes to some of the direction that casting directors give you, saying that like this is what you need to achieve or become to get casted, because if you promote yourself well, and I mean, who you are is exactly who you are, and you shouldn't have to change yourself to get casted. If you project yourself and you just are just, this is who I am. If you watch some of my lives, a lot of people I've done lives with are actors, models, and doing stuff in that field. And they said once they realize that they're going to be casted for who they're meant to be casted for anyway, as soon as they stopped trying to pretend to be something that they weren't, they started getting casted because they went in confident, because they're like, you know what, I can only be me. And if I'm the person for this part, I'm going to get it. Versus going in thinking, oh my God, like I need to make my voice deeper. I need to stand this way. And I need to, you go in with such nerves and you're scared because you're trying to create what you think they want to see versus just being yourself. And I think that once you kind of capture that about yourself, so I always say self-reflect, find all the things you love about yourself, find the things that you think you need to work on about yourself, but don't change yourself, because there's a reason you are who you are, and that's what the world needs to see.
Yeah. How about you? Like, do you have a vision board or a list of goals here that are?
I see that we're about to run out of time, but like my ultimate goal is definitely my ultimate goal is to be my own like content creator, life coach. I want to really just own my own business and have my name, the Drummond Culture brand, be what actually supports me, because I do feel like this platform that I've created, this culture, I think it is what the world needs, and I would love to see that really grow and be successful. So I do put a lot of time and effort into it because I do believe in the platform and I believe in the message. And I mean, I pull people like you and everyone else onto this platform with me because I see something in you guys as well. And I think
honestly, you have my support. You have my support. I love what you do, and I'm not competition. We're two different, you know, and I support what you do, and I keep going.
I'm glad we connected, and hopefully our friendship can only grow. I have definitely made, it's funny, Clubhouse has connected with so many Canadians, and I'm just like, you know what? I have a passport. I got it renewed last year in 2020 before the pandemic, and I was just like, I'm going to Canada for sure. I'm going to Europe for sure. So I know you guys are spread out all over Canada, but I definitely want to meet all of you guys eventually, not just video.
I can show you the capital. I'm in the capital. A lot of history here.
Perfect.
Don't come in the winter. You're not gonna like it.
I've already told people, I'm like, I don't do winter. I had like an internship in Chicago during the summer. Loved Chicago. Went back during the winter to visit my friends that I made while I was up there. Hated it. I was like, I could not live here. This is horrible, especially since I flew up from Florida. So it was like all humid. And then I literally got the worst windburn. So I was like, I don't do cold. So it just won't happen. But
I don't know. By the way, I don't know. I want to put together a group of some Instagrammers, like influencer, to maybe meet once a month to help each other, to give each other, like, to brainstorm and just bounce off each other's ideas, to help, you know, contests we might do. So if you're down, you know, we can connect with about that too. Find, you know, just a group of nice little group every month. We do meetings just to brainstorm about each other's channel or platform to help each other, right?
Yeah,
So
most definitely.
write
I
it down. Yeah.
honestly, all the people I've been doing lives with, I've been thinking about creating like a Facebook group so we can all come together in that space because I mean,
Sure.
you guys are all amazing. There's a reason why I've pulled all of you onto this, and I think it would be great to kind of combine all of our energy and just create like amazing things because it's great.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I see it's counting down from 10.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
have
All
a
right.
good night, and I will talk to you
It was
soon.
nice to meet you. Take care.
Yeah.
Talk later.